Exactly.
But I know one thing. Once you get to making, and you got to make 50 meatballs. It may start out about this big at the end, but at the end
It's gonna
you
be
got
some
some tennis balls.
snowball.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, we going softballs.
Look at that. It's already there. I'm All right, everybody, listen. Welcome back to Captain Kobe's Cajun Cooking. Got a great show lined up for you today. Today we probably have a show lined up for you where this food, I have not eaten this food anywhere else but in South Louisiana. It is unique to our culture and it is unique to this area. I don't know anywhere else in the country that makes this. It is called meatball stew. Okay? Listen, everybody's been asking me, Kobe, why you ain't made a meatball stew yet? And the reason why is Quinton probably has one of the best meatball stews around here. Sometimes you wait on the guys that you like their food the best. So I've been waiting on Quinton to come out here and make this with me today.
We're here today.
Yeah, and man, I'm excited. Everybody's excited. The people at the firehouse are excited because they get to eat some meatball stew today.
What they asked, how many people we can feed?
How many people we feeding today? And let me tell you, we can feed an army today. That's usually how Captain Kobe does it anyway. But stay tuned. We're going to let you know everything you need to cook a traditional Cajun meatball stew.
All right. First of all, we're gonna have a pot of boiling water.
And listen, before I want to kind of cut you off before you even get
That's
started.
all right.
If you can see today, we're using the Magnalite pot. I have cooked with the Magnalite pot in the past, but we're using Magnalite pot today just to show the versatility of the things that we use out here in South Louisiana. We use cast iron. You see me use that cast iron pot a lot, but we also use Magnalite. And yeah, a lot. So meatball stew today, Magnalite pot.
So first and foremost, we're gonna need roux. It's the base to any one of your stews that you're gonna make.
Right.
Same thing we use to make gumbo, but we're gonna use more of the roux today.
Okay.
And we'll make a stew with it. We're probably gonna use about a jar in what we're cooking.
All right.
There's no right or wrong. There's no solid recipe for the base of a stew.
Okay.
Because of the fact that you may like it thinner than I like it.
Right.
I may like it thicker than you like it.
That's right.
And some people like it thick enough that whenever you finish with it, the spoon will
Stand
stand
up myself, I'm,
inside the pot.
I like mine a good medium. It has to be a little thick.
Ours should be about a medium today.
That's the way I like it too.
And it'll be about a jar in there.
All right, and look, I want to say that's the basic reason why we normally make a roux. You know, Captain Kobe is always making a roux, but this is it. This is what you need. It's going to be about 32 ounces of roux. And what we using, sidewall roux today. We do like the dark roux. Everybody knows I like my roux dark, but for ingredients purposes and for measurement purposes, everybody says, Captain Kobe, you're not measuring. This is what you're going to need: 1 32-ounce jar of. We go with sidewalls.
That's about the only thing we're gonna measure today.
Okay. Well, listen, we have about 10 pounds of meat.
Correct.
And then normally when we season our meat, I know we kind of season that to taste. You just see how we do ours. And
just
then,
like the roux.
right, exactly.
And it could depend on the crowd that you're cooking for.
Right.
If you're cooking for a crowd with a bunch of young ones, you may not want to season it as hot as you would
Right.
at the
Well,
camp. You know?
and when I try to make this, I know people in South Louisiana do kind of have their own recipes. So some people that are outside of Louisiana, maybe up north in Michigan or Tennessee or Texas, whatever, this is kind of almost a step-by-step on how to make a good meatball stew. All right?
And then we'll have our seasonings that we're going to put in it.
Right.
And then our onions.
And of course, the thing that makes this meatball stew the best is, I got to say it, Captain Kobe's Cajun seasoning, right? It's the magic that makes things happen around here. So, all right. Quinton, I tell you what, usually I'm kind of running the show here today.
Right.
I'll be the sous chef. You just tell me what to do. You can season how you want to season. And you need me to get some onions cut up, I'm willing to do that too.
Yep, we're going to take one onion. We're going to go ahead and cut one onion fine.
All right.
I do like putting onions in my
Absolutely,
meatballs.
me too. You got to have it.
So we're going to cut one of them fine, and we'll put that in and get that prepared to season up and mix up.
Okay, let's get with it. Stay tuned. We're about to make things happen. And I tell you what, I kind of like my onions a little fine, because nobody likes a big old hunk of onion sticking out of their meatball like that. So we're going to get them chopped them pretty fine right here. That's just how I like them. Quinton likes them chunky. Well, he's going to have to deal with the fine ones today. I got you 2 onions cut up right quick there, Quinton.
See, nice and fine.
Nice and fine. I don't like them fat.
I don't like big old chunky onions in my
Man,
meatballs.
I just, man, people look at that and like, what is this?
Exactly.
So we're gonna do that this way, and I'll be your meat mixer today too.
Okay.
Sous chef, meat mixer, whatever you need. So let me know how this happens.
We're gonna do it very simple. We're gonna do just the onions and the seasoning.
Okay.
A couple people may ask, well, why no binder in it? I try not to use a binder.
Okay.
If I can stay away from it. I try just to mix it enough to break down the fat
Right.
and use the fat of the meat as a natural binder.
I don't put a binder in mine either. I don't put anything extra.
I know people are used to old hamburger patties and old meatballs. They use breadcrumbs, they use eggs. Nothing wrong with it. It's
Right.
fine if that's how you're used to doing it.
Okay.
But a lot of people don't realize if you mix it enough, and a lot of it goes with the squeezing motion,
Gotcha.
you can break down the fat enough and you can have a natural binder because the
Of the
fat
fat.
will bind everything together.
That's a great. So I want to add to that too. So listen, my wife makes a fantastic meatball stew too. If she would really want to be on this show, she would probably be here with me today because hers is absolutely fantastic as well. But a good rule of thumb is if you're not quite sure how to make this, or however you would make your hamburger patty, is another way to make your meatball.
Hamburger
Again,
patty or a meatloaf.
or a
If
meatloaf,
you-
that's right. So a lot of people do use a binder when they make their hamburgers, and it's okay. If that's what you want to do, that's fine. It's okay.
But
Just
I would like the people to try it because
This way
you'd
with
be-
the fat,
You'd
how
be
much you can
surprised
grab.
how many people don't know that if
That-
they were to mix their meat more, that they could stay away from the binders,
Right.
and that they could use just the natural fat as it. So
Okay.
if you haven't tried it before, I encourage you to try it.
Hey, that's a great
It
tip.
does make a different patty. It makes
Okay.
a different meatball. It makes a different patty.
All right.
I much prefer it that way.
All right.
So
Listen, we're
if
showing y'all that today, and I told y'all Quinton's is one of my favorites. So now you kind of understand a little bit of tricks of the trade and a few trade secrets on why theirs are just a little bit better than everybody else's.
Yep. If you haven't tried it, give it a try.
All right, I'm ready.
So we're gonna put the
The Captain
little
Cove in
special
there.
seasoning in it.
Yeah, you gotta have that, man.
and
That's
we're gonna put that just the right amount, that secret measurement.
you're right. So listen, we're gonna season to taste. We pretty much know how much to use, how much not to use, just by when you get a shot inside of the meat. When we season it on top of the meat, we kind of know. So basically, what you think you use right there?
Probably about a third of the can.
Third of a can, okay? So just by looking at this, when we mix this, we know if there was higher meat than that, we may kind of blend this a little bit differently. But for the most part, here you go.
Usually
Meat
try
on
to
the
make
top.
try to make it flat. And
Again.
just as an eyeball, I know if I cover it, with X amount, it should be just about right.
Perfect. Tricks of the trade, all right?
And we're gonna add our onions in.
I got you. Since I'm about to get all dirty anyway. Every little piece. I cut them so fine
all
they're
the
hard to
piece,
see
all the
sometimes.
flavor.
There you go. All right, let's get busy.
And that motion right there, the squeezing motion is what will break down the fat and it will naturally start binding. You'll notice once you do it enough, you'll get a layer of fat to start sticking to your glove.
That's right. You always know that. You'll see
And
that.
That's when you know that you have made a difference in the meat itself and that it's gonna start sticking to itself because you'll notice it's sticking to your gloves or
as
your
well.
hand or whatever.
That's right.
Correct, exactly.
So a little technique that I use is we do squeeze, we do push it out right there, and then from there we fold it, kind of fold it over. Again, push it down and same thing. And as you can see, we don't have too many onions in there. It's not sticking out. I think the onions are cut just right,
Just
even
right.
though I say so myself.
Hey, when you pick a sous chef, you pick a good one.
That's right.
And if you do it the natural way like this, it's not gonna be fast. It's gonna take
Yeah.
you a couple of extra minutes. It's not gonna happen just instantly. It does take some effort, but it does make a difference in the texture.
Now, one thing that I like to use, and I say this often when we're cooking, is use a good cut of meat. I use ground chuck a lot. That's one of my favorite.
Yep.
I use about 80-20. The more fattier you get, you're gonna lose a lot of that, width and height of your meatball when you get there as that cooks down, because a lot of that grease will cook down out of here. So
I'll
a
also
good cut
do
of meat.
Good cut of meat.
I got this pulverized pretty good right here.
Looking like it.
Yeah, looks good. And if you can look at this meat, come on, get a shot in this meat right here. As you can tell, you see how this meat is stringy. It's already binding. You getting that fat breakdown in there that's doing it. And if you look at this glove, if you even take the meat off it, all this little white stuff right here, that is all going to end up being your binder.
That's the breakdown we're talking about.
That's the breakdown of the meat. That
You'll
you
notice it's in the edge of the bowl and everything, but that's what's gonna hold it all together. Natural binder.
Quinton, question of the
I
day.
know the question.
Question of the day, which everybody in South Louisiana has an answer for this, and it's either or. So, do you like your
Not
meatballs?
small.
My wife makes some smaller meatballs. If I make them too big, she's fussing, and some people like some gigantic meatballs.
I don't like them huge, but I figure if I can cut it in 8 pieces, that's a right meatball.
Well, I'm gonna show you how we usually do it. I usually make mine, and you can decide if you want them a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller. This is normal meatball that I do. They'll shrink down a little bit to that. If you want to break down in about 8 pieces,
Yeah, there you go.
we'll bring you the Quinton size right
There you
here,
go.
and then we'll see how they look. And that's
That's it right there.
there you go.
Nothing wrong with the other ones.
Right? There you go. And listen, if you get 4 small meatballs or 2 big meatballs, it comes out to pretty much the same amount of
much
meat
the
that you
same
get.
thing.
And
Yep.
it usually cooks the same way every time, right?
Exactly.
But I know one thing, once you get to making, and you got to make 50 meatballs, it may start out about this big at the end, but at the end you got some tennis balls. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. We going softballs.
Look at that, it's already there. I'm already there.
It happens quick.
It happens quick.
And y'all gonna see us putting them on a pan. I use a riser rack. I prefer to bake mine or brown them.
Yeah, there's 2
Just
ways. You
to-
can brown them in a skillet,
Correct.
or
Just
even in the Magnalite as you're going to bring that through
correct.
there.
I know some people who, especially if they're gonna make their own roux, they'll brown their meat first and then use that along with regular oil and the flour to make their own roux. But if I can, I try to bake them off or to cook them off in a pan just to get some of that grease out. So you don't have quite as much grease into it.
Right.
And you
You're still going to have the flavor you need in the meatball itself.
by all means,
You
yes.
don't need
Yeah,
that
it's
grease
not
that's
gonna
going to be pumping
change-
through that. It's
yeah.
not going to change anything that you
the
need.
stew is still gonna the roux and
Exactly.
everything's still gonna cook into the meatball. You're not gonna put a barrier that's gonna stop the flavor from going into it.
That's right.
It's still gonna have everything that it needs. But I prefer to cook them just off the side.
I do
You-
too. I usually bake mine in the oven.
You can
Probably
there's-
about an hour, about as long as that it takes to cook your roux down.
Yeah.
So
And there's
while
nothing wrong with cooking them in the roux. There's a lot of places that cook them inside the roux.
some people just boil them down into the, pan fry them that way too to keep that hardness on there. Sometimes if you drop them just in the roux and you don't get that good, fat in there to kind of to keep it together, they want to break apart in there like anything else. So you need to kind
You
of.
have a stew spaghetti when
Yeah.
you get through.
All right, everybody, listen, we have almost 30 meatballs made right here. What we want to do is we want to preheat our oven. It's on its way up there to 450 degrees, right? And we want to cook this about an hour. So while Quinton's out there getting that roux ready and prepared, We're gonna go ahead and put this in the oven for 1 hour at 450 degrees. You can do 425, somewhere around there, just as long. These meatballs are kind of thick, so it's gonna take a little bit of a minute to get it cooked down and brown down real well. All right. All right. Let's go check on Quint. All right, I got the meatballs in the oven there, Quint. Got them ready to go. They're cooking. And then get this roux rolling. Probably should have had that going a little bit sooner than what we're doing while we were actually making those meatballs, right?
We should have.
That's all right, though. That's kind of how we do it out here, especially at the station. Again, like we said, we're going to use one jar right here. And show them your spoon there, Quint.
Secret weapon. If any of y'all are used to using roux, the biggest spoon that fits in there is a tablespoon.
Right.
Now on the market, there are some roux spoons.
Okay.
But before they had roux spoons, you make your own roux spoon, so you don't bend the tablespoon.
That's right. The tablespoon's bent off because that roux's pretty tough.
Take your regular stirring spoon, cut the edges off of it. Fits in the top of the jar.
Perfectly. I like it. Ingenuity, Cajun ingenuity.
That's it.
That's how we do it. Again, when you putting this roux in here, and I want to make this known, you don't want to have that one big old plop. You need to kind of break that down because sometimes that roux kind of want to sticks on the bottom. So you get you a nice spoonful of that, and then you're just gonna keep stirring that and put in a bunch of different places in there, right? So normally when I make my roux, it's loose, and it's a little bit easier to kind of maneuver through there. Whereas the jar roux, they solidify, they're pretty tough to get through there. Just want to get in there, drag out as much as you can, and stir it up as much as you can. So this process right here is going to take probably a good 20, 30 minutes just stirring that to get that roux to break down where it's not sticking at the bottom of that pot.
And if you've had your stove on really, really high to get your water boiling, you may not want to keep it on that while the roux's breaking down.
Right.
Because some of those spots of roux will grab a hold of the bottom of the pot.
Right, and it'll make your burn spot on
have
there
a burn
and ruin
spot,
your whole dish.
Exactly. So you can turn the fire back up after you can kind of get it moving, know that nothing's sticking and all dissolving. Then you can turn your fire back up. But I know I've had it happen to me when I was younger. You know, don't turn the fire down and a burnt spot of roux.
No doubt. And I like that you got a little point in the end of that spoon right there. See that, so you can grab that in the corner. You get every piece of that roux that's in there. I like it. Done. Done. Yeah.
We're just gonna keep it stirring.
You come on and get a shot in here. As you can see, you got a good dark flavor that's in there already. And the more that breaks down, the more darker that's gonna get. So you got a pretty looking little roux working right there. This has to cook 1 hour minimum.
At least.
The longer it cooks, the better.
If you can cook it all day, it would be the absolute best.
Yeah.
Which is what a lot of us do. Cook breakfast and put a pot on for gumbo or for a roux. The longer you can cook that roux, the smoother it'll be.
Sure.
And also, some people may say, man, that's a lot of water to make for a stew.
Huh.
I don't want to have to add water back to it.
Okay.
You can do it with a brown gravy. You can do it with a roux for a stew also.
Right.
But I try not to because you're adding unflavored water back
into the thing. That's
so
absolutely right.
If you can put
and the more that cook down, the thicker that thing's going to be as well.
Correct. Exactly. And as you're cooking down, you're going to lose some of this water because of the boiling process, and you're going to lose it with the steam. So it looks like a lot, but between thickening and between losing it with just the boiling process, you're not going to have this much whenever you get through.
So for measurement purposes, we went about, say 3/4 of the pot.
Yeah, about 3/4 of the pot.
About 3/4 of the pot full. This is that's the big. Is that the bigger one?
That's the 18
quart. What's the quart wise? You know on this?
I don't know the quart wise. The roasters go by inches. This will be an 18 inch.
Okay.
It's the largest roaster that they make.
Right. And we want to put that about 3/4 of the way full with
One jar
one
of roux.
jar of roux. It's a 32-ounce jar of roux.
And probably in an hour or two, we're gonna cook off a good third of this.
Yeah.
It'll give us room for our meatballs. It'll start to bind together to flavor the water,
Right.
and then we'll lose some of the water to help the thickening part of it.
All right. Now that we got this, all this roux broke down in this pot cooking right here. Come on
Getting
in.
smooth.
I want to show you just the creaminess. Just how this looks. Okay. Might get a little bit of. This is exactly how I like mine. Not too thick, not too thin. Just that good creaminess, almost like it would be like a little bit more than melted ice cream. I would say it like that. But if you look at that, that would kind of be how I would describe it. Okay. Now Quinton does his a little bit different. Normally when I make my roux, I put my onions to kind of stop that cooking process. We're gonna go ahead and just dump these onions in there and
As of now, we haven't seasoned it.
no
So,
season. That's right, baby.
The meatballs are seasoned, so we're gonna have the seasoning on the inside.
Sure.
But now we need to season. They're not gonna season the stew that
Right.
that
That stays
much.
inside the meatball itself.
Correct, exactly. So now we're gonna put the onions in because we did use jar roux,
Okay.
and we're gonna season it all at the same time.
I'm good with it. I like this little spoon, Quinton.
Yeah.
Don't leave it.
Oh, no, you're not gonna take it.
So one thing about when you season in roux, this is kind of my rule of thumb, and I know that when we don't really measure that much. But once this cooks in a little bit and you taste the roux, you want to have just a little bit of heat with it because you are going to be bringing some other things in there. But you want to just to be able to taste the heat. And then when all those flavors cook together, you're going to have exactly what you want. Now, if you like it when it's all said and done, at the end, you like it a little bit more peppered, and you can add as much seasoning as you want.
And I do find a lot of times, no matter what all-purpose seasoning you're using or whatever, any type of stew or gumbo will typically take more salt. So
Right.
you may need to add a little bit more salt at the end of it. It doesn't pick up the saltiness quite like a regular brown gravy or something.
Well, and listen, that's the beauty of Captain Kobe's too. I have just the right amount of salt. Some people have way less salt, and I think the salt is the drive. It drives the pepper. It drives all the onion powders and all the different things that's in there. So you do have to have salt in there. But I do find that a few things that I do cook, you do have to add a little bit of salt. But that's way better because guess what? You can't take it out.
Take it out,
Can't take it
exactly.
All right, well, we're going to let this get cooking and check on our meatballs. And
I smelt them a while ago.
they're smelling
They
good.
smelling pretty
That's what
good.
I'm talking about, man. While this is cooking down, all these flavors coming together, it does take a while to do that. Like I said, a lot of times when we cooking, there's a little downtime. And while we have a little bit of downtime, I'd like y'all to get to know Quinton Gilboa a little bit. Quinton, tell everybody a little bit about yourself, man. What you do?
Born and raised Opelousas, in the National Guard for a few years, and I've been at Targill pretty much my whole life.
And if you don't know what Targill is a place that where I get my seasoning made, and just about every person who makes seasoning out here in South Louisiana goes to Targill.
We do quite a few
So
custom
Quinn's
blends.
responsible for quite a few blends out there, quite a few custom blends out there,
Yep.
and
We do custom.
to me, he's probably the best or one of the best cooks in St. Landry Parish. I promise you
Appreciate
that.
it,
Right?
appreciate
Yeah, he's a good cook and a good friend. So with that being said, I'd like to give you a little something from Captain Kobe to
All right.
you, right?
All right.
All right, I got a new shirt. It says Captain Kobe Cajun Cooking, obviously, and in the back, it's my logo, just kind of blown up a little bit right there. If you ever bought a can of Captain Kobe's Cajun Seasoning, this is what's on the can, and thank you, man. Thank you for everything you do.
Appreciate it.
I couldn't have made the season without you. I know we had a 100 phone calls and I had 1,000 questions. That's just how I am. That's how we made it happen. So thank
That's
you for
how
your
we do it all
patience.
of them. Yes,
And
sir.
definitely thank you for coming
So
cook
official
with me.
now.
So, yeah, I'm gonna make sure you wear that Target when you're out there.
Hey, I'm gonna wear it the next time we come cook.
I like it. That's perfect.
That's
awesome.
it.
All right, thank you, man. I just picked at these meatballs. Oh my God, they look so good, man. Let me give you all a peek of what this is all about to happen right here. Look at that. Don't that look absolutely awesome?
They smell delicious.
You can eat it just like that. All right. We're about to dump this in our roux that's cooking over there. Stand by to make things happen. All right. So just to make sure we kind of go back to the order of things, this has been cooking for right about an hour. I would say maybe 10 minutes, hour 10 minutes. Same thing with the meatballs. They right at an hour. If you can see, you kind of want to get a char on that meatball. It's gonna kind of help hold those things together. So if you come in there and see that, you need that brownness on there. That's gonna help keep that put together. When you're cooking and when it cooks down, it won't all fall apart.
Exactly.
And another thing, if you look in our pot right here, we said that we started about 3/4 of the pot. It would cook back down to about 2/3 of the pot. You can see that's exactly what happened right here. As we went down, right, our onions are cooked down, and now what we need to do is just transfer these meatballs into the roux, and just let that happen. Just cook together, right? All
Let
right.
them bathe in a velvet bath.
That's right. I love it. You know, I got some people fussing at you for them big meatballs you made.
Hey, that's all right.
Hey, it's all how you like it. That's what I tell people all the time.
I guarantee if they cut them open, they wouldn't be fussing very long.
Oh no, they're gonna be eating that.
I think if they just smelled them right now, that they'd be all right.
Oh, I'm ready to eat myself. Talented guy, 2 meatballs at a time. Right? Gotcha.
Efficiency. And one last one.
That's it. Now listen, as this cooks out, you can see we kind of back to 3/4 of the pot. And as this cooks down and gets rolling, you're gonna kind of go back to that 2/3 again. That's kind of your second marker to know where you are, where you at. So when this cooks down, your meatballs are kind of water out a little bit more than what they are. And then when it's all said and done, a fantastic meal. Trust me, Louisiana staple right here. We're about halfway, maybe 3/4 way. It's time to taste test. Ooh, look at this right here, y'all. Come get a shot of this. Oh my God, this looks fantastic. And look at the thickness of this. Just right, like some melted ice cream right there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Not too thick, not too thin.
Stick to the rice, good.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. I got a taste testing spoon right here. She's hot.
Just think about that.
Man, I think it's good. I think we hit it just right. I don't think we got to add no seasoning. The Captain Cobra just kind of hit you in the back of the throat the way it's supposed to. Man, I think it's right on. I don't think we need to add anything. You want to taste it?
Some rice.
Oh, definitely need some rice. All right, we're going to come back here in about 20, 30 minutes. And then we're going to eat. Make us a plate. All right, everybody, listen. I cheated again. I always taste. I don't know why, but I do.
Couldn't help yourself.
This got a very old timey taste. This is the way I like to cook. I'm more traditional. Cajun cook, and this is right on point with straight up traditional Cajun food. The meatballs, I already cut one in half, and I cut it 3 times already. So I'm glad we on that. This is absolutely phenomenal. If you know anything about old traditional Cajun cooking, this is the epitome of it right here. Right? What you think, John?
It's rather delectable, little boy.
You hear that? I like it. So, like we always say, listen, try this recipe, cook it. Quinton did a great job of doing step by step on how to get things done around here. Please try this recipe. Let me know how you like it, because we absolutely love it. So thank y'all for watching, and we'll see y'all in the kitchen.